The financial markets are in freefall, and what we are witnessing is not a random downturn or an unavoidable economic correction. It is a deliberate demolition of wealth, orchestrated by the very institutions that claim to protect it. Behind the headlines of plunging stocks, collapsing cryptocurrencies, and skyrocketing inflation lies a hidden agenda, one that the financial elite and their media enablers refuse to acknowledge. This isn't just market volatility. It's a calculated move to consolidate power, redistribute wealth upward, and reshape the global economy in favor of those who already control it. The Federal Reserve, central banks, Wall Street insiders, and corporate giants have been manipulating the system for years, creating artificial booms and engineered busts to serve their interests. Now, as the facade crumbles, they're using the chaos to justify even greater control, all while ordinary investors and working-class citizens bear the brunt of the fallout. For over a decade, the financial system has been propped up by artificial stimulus, near-zero interest rates, quantitative easing, and reckless government spending. These policies inflated massive bubbles in stocks, real estate, and even cryptocurrencies, creating the illusion of prosperity while masking the underlying rot. The Fed and other central banks knew this was unsustainable, yet they continued pumping cheap money into the economy, enriching corporations and financial institutions while wages stagnated and living costs soared. Now, as inflation spirals out of control and debt reaches catastrophic levels, they're suddenly reversing course, raising rates at the fastest pace in history, and pulling liquidity from the markets. The result? A controlled demolition of asset prices, wiping out trillions in wealth and leaving everyday investors stranded. But this isn't an accident. It's a feature, not a bug. The elite need periodic crises to justify their next moves. More bailouts for themselves, more austerity for the public, and ultimately a complete restructuring of the financial system under their terms. The stock market, once sold to the public as the great equalizer, a place where anyone could build wealth, has been exposed as a rigged game. High-frequency trading algorithms, dark pools, and naked short selling have turned Wall Street into a casino where the house always wins. The 2021 meme stock saga revealed the truth. When retail traders tried to challenge hedge funds by driving up heavily shorted stocks like GameStop and AMC, the system intervened to protect the establishment. Trading platforms like Robinhood halted purchases, brokers restricted transactions, and the so-called free market instantly became anything but free. The message was clear. The rules only apply to you, not to them. Now, as markets crash, the same hedge funds and institutional players who caused the 2008 crisis are positioning themselves to profit from the downturn, while ordinary investors watch their life savings evaporate. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and other regulators do nothing because they're not there to protect you. They're there to protect the system. Cryptocurrencies, once hailed as the antidote to centralized financial control, have also fallen victim to manipulation. Bitcoin and other digital assets were supposed to be decentralized, immune to the whims of central banks and governments. But the 2022-2024 crash has proven otherwise. Large holders, or whales, have been strategically dumping their holdings, triggering cascading liquidations and panic selling. Meanwhile, governments are using the volatility as an excuse to push for stricter regulations, effectively neutering crypto's revolutionary potential. The recent crackdowns on exchanges, stablecoins, and decentralized finance (DeFi) platforms are not about protecting consumers. They're about eliminating competition. Central banks are rolling out their own digital currencies, CBDCs, which will give them unprecedented surveillance and control over every transaction. The goal is clear: to ensure that no alternative financial system exists outside their dominion. The housing market is another piece of the puzzle. What appears to be a simple case of supply and demand is actually a deliberate takeover by institutional investors. Private equity firms, hedge funds, and corporate landlords, flush with cheap debt, have been buying up single-family homes at an unprecedented rate, driving prices to unaffordable levels. In many cities, these investors now own more than 30% of available homes, turning what should be a path to middle-class stability into a rental economy. The American dream of homeownership is being systematically dismantled, replaced by a feudalistic model where the wealthy own everything and the rest pay perpetual rent. This isn't an organic market trend, it's a coordinated wealth transfer, one that mirrors the corporate buyouts of farmland, water rights, and other essential assets. The 2008 housing crash was a wealth grab. The current crisis is another phase of the same plan. Underlying all of this is the so-called Great Reset, a globalist vision promoted by organizations like the World Economic Forum, WEF, where the elite openly discuss a future in which average people own nothing and be happy. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a stated goal. The WEF's own publications outline a world of subscription-based living, digital IDs, and centralized control over resources. The crashing markets, inflation crisis, and housing shortages are not coincidental. They're stepping stones toward this engineered transition. The pandemic was used to test unprecedented levels of government control over economies and personal freedoms. Now the financial collapse is being used to justify the next phase, a green, digital economy where every transaction, carbon footprint, and social behavior is tracked and regulated. The elites don't hide this, they openly admit it. The only thing they hide is their role in creating the very crises they claim to solve. Mainstream media plays a crucial role in this deception. Rather than exposing the manipulation, they push narratives that blame inflation on supply chain issues, market crashes on geopolitical tensions, and economic instability on anything but the real culprits, central bank policies and corporate greed. They distract with culture wars, sensationalized headlines, and false partisan divisions, ensuring the public never unites against the true architects of their financial suffering. The 24-hour news cycle is designed to keep people confused, angry, and passive, too preoccupied with superficial debates to question the system itself. So what can be done? The first step is recognizing that this crisis is intentional. The second is refusing to play by their rules, diversifying into tangible assets, precious metals, land, productive resources, supporting decentralized alternatives, crypto, local economies, barter systems, and withdrawing trust from corrupt institutions are all ways to resist. Most importantly, people must educate themselves and others, because the greatest weapon the elite have is ignorance. They rely on the masses not connecting the dots, not seeing the patterns, not realizing that every financial crash, every bailout, every new regulation serves the same small group of power brokers. The markets aren't crashing by accident, they're crashing by design. The question is, will enough people wake up in time to do something about it?